Chair, staff is ready when you are.
Good afternoon. Welcome to our Monday, March 9th, 2026 meeting. It is 1:03 p.m. and we're meeting for the meeting of the Arts, Culture, and Creative Economy Commission. The meeting is now called to order. Will the clerk please call the roll to establish a quorum?
Thank you, Chair. Commissioners, please unmute for roll call. Commissioner Carter.
Present.
Commissioner Eisenberg.
Present.
Commissioner Gutierrez. Absent. Commissioner Hershey.
Here.
Commissioner Ohabu.
Here.
Commissioner Orozco. Absent. Commissioner Smith. Absent. Commissioner Wallace.
Here.
Commissioner Winlock.
Here.
And Chair Lavulo.
Here.
Thank you. We have quorum.
Thank you. I'd like to remind members in the public, of the public in chambers that if you would like to speak on an agenda item, please turn in a speaker slip before the item begins. After the item is called, we will no longer accept speaker slips. You will have 2 minutes to speak once you are called on. We will now proceed with today's agenda. Please rise if you're able for the opening and acknowledgments in order or in honor of Sacramento's indigenous people and tribal lands.
To the original people of this land, the Nisenan people, the Southern Maydew Valley and Plains Miwok, Patwan Wintun peoples, and the people of the Wilton Rancheria, Sacramento's only federally recognized tribe. May we acknowledge and honor the Native people who came before us and still walk beside us today on those ancestral lands by choosing to gather today in the active practice of acknowledgement and appreciation for the Sacramento's indigenous people's history, contribution, and lives. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next is approval of the consent calendar. Clerk, are there any members of the public who would like to speak on the consent calendar?
Thank you, Chair. We have no speakers for this item.
Thank you. Are there any commissioners who would like to speak on this item? Commissioner Wallace?
Motion to approve.
Got motion for Wallace. Can we get a second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Carter. Thank you. All in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? The motion passes with opposition from 0 commissioners and abstention from commissioners 0. And the motion passes. We'll now proceed to the discussion calendar. There is a staff presentation today. We'll look at item number 3, presented by Melissa Cerrone and April Bryce.
Hi, everybody. You don't really need me here today, but I just wanted to be the one to present April to you all, our fantastic program coordinator who really ran with this program, and we're really proud of being able to offer this small organizational sustainability fund. So I just want to congratulate April and Jacqueline Ruiz, who's also here today, another staff member, for all the fantastic work they did to get this out the door. So here's April.
All right, thank you, Chair Lavulo, and good afternoon, members of the commission and members of the public, both in the audience and watching online. My name is April Bryce. I'm an arts program coordinator with the city's Office of Arts and Culture. I'm very excited to be here today to provide information and invite discussion around a new grant program known as the Small Organization Sustainability Fund. I'll start by providing a little bit of background information about the grant opportunity and our journey towards implementation. The program is grounded in the belief that small arts and cultural organizations are an essential part of a vibrant and dynamic arts ecosystem. Our office recognizes that local funding opportunities for these entities has been limited, and many organizations have faced barriers accessing flexible operating funds. Our office, this opportunity was designed to address these gaps in access to general operating funding to ensure the stability and vitality of these crucial community assets. The program is made possible by the Sacramento County Office of Economic Development, who generously provided administrative funding. Additionally, more than 64% of funding came from the state and local partners, or SLP program, provided by the California Arts Council. The Office of Arts and Culture allocated $100,000 to the Small Organization Sustainability Fund. This strategic investment in Sacramento's small arts and cultural organizations will help to strengthen long-term organizational sustainability and sustain community-based programming throughout Sacramento County. Each of the program's 6 goals align with the Creative Edge Plan and exemplify the OAC's mission to advance community through arts and culture. This is a 1-year program providing awards up to $5,000, but no more than 50% of the organization's total adjusted revenue. And that's defined as revenue minus city and county grant funding. The Small Organization Sustainability Fund provides a pathway to crucial funding for both California 501c3 nonprofit tax-exempt organizations, as well as fiscally sponsored entities such as arts collectives and independent performance ensembles. Grant funds may be used for a range of general operating expenses such as staffing, rent, artist fees, and administrative and programming costs. To be eligible for funding, organizations must have had a 1-year history of operations and public programming and demonstrate that their mission or primary purpose and programs center arts and culture. Through a strategic partnership with Sacramento County Office of Economic Development, we were able to offer this opportunity to arts and cultural organizations throughout Sacramento County, and not just the city, which was really exciting. And only organizations with primary addresses and programming locations within Sacramento County were eligible. Our office defines small organizations as those with fiscal year revenue under $25,000, and we allowed organizations the flexibility to select between fiscal year 2023 or 2024 revenue. Eligible organizations must also be in compliance with previous or ongoing city-funded activities and demonstrate that the organization or fiscal sponsor is current with the California Attorney General's Registry of Charities and Fundraisers and active within California Secretary of State per city requirements. Fiscally sponsored entities were obligated to have an eligible fiscal sponsor demonstrated with a satisfactory fiscal sponsor agreement provided at time of application. And then ineligible organizations included, for-profit entities, individual artists, schools such as university-funded programs, schools of the arts, or programs embedded in public and private schools. Ineligible organizations also included those who had previously been funded under the OAC's Cultural Arts Awards, as we really wanted to ensure that funding sort of reached those who had not yet had the opportunity to access OAC grants. For more information about the eligibility and the goals of the program, you can find a copy of the Small Organization Sustainability Fund guidelines in both English and Spanish within your packet. And then we'll go to outreach. Because this was a new grant program focused around organizations with limited support opportunities, we really wanted to ensure that information reached a wide range of organizations throughout the entire county, especially those within unincorporated areas. We also strive to ensure equitable access to information and sought relationships with local networks, which could help to disseminate information to a diverse audience. We collaborated with the city's language access coordinator to provide guidelines and marketing materials in both English and Spanish. We also partnered with the city's community ambassador program to help raise awareness. For those of you who are not aware, the Neighborhood Development Action Team City Community Ambassador Program is a language justice program created to facilitate a multicultural bridge to create and maintain relationships with community partners, businesses, and residents who represent linguistically diverse populations or historically underrepresented communities. These individuals help to educate the community and offer translation services during information sessions, which was really helpful and much appreciated. We also collaborated with both the city and county public information officers to create city and county press releases and publications. Printed materials were literally hand-delivered all throughout the county to community hubs like PBIDs and community centers, and postcards were made available at multiple events across the city. Digital marketing materials were shared through newsletters, email campaigns, and across our social media accounts, including Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, and our LinkedIn channel. Our office also hosted an information session, which was recorded and shared both on our website and YouTube channel. Additionally, we hosted open office hour sessions, which provided focused one-on-one support to potential applicants. We also fielded calls and emails and assembled a frequently asked questions webpage, which was regularly updated to reflect the community's inquiries. We recognize that many of the organizations served by this program rely on limited staffing or volunteer groups and often have limited capacity, so we really tried to get the information out as early as possible. Marketing efforts began about a month before the guidelines even dropped. So we were really, excited for the amount of response that we got. The guidelines were made available to the public on October 27th, and the application opened on November 3rd, 2025. Once the application closed, staff reviewed applications for basic eligibility before assigning applications to a diverse 5-member panel made up of arts and cultural experts from a range of disciplines and backgrounds. For more information about our esteemed panelists, you can find their biographies within your packet there. Panelists were provided training and resources and were required to sign disclosure agreements to prevent any bias or conflict of interest. Panelists were also held to a strict code of conduct outlined within the panelist guidelines available on our website. All panelists assess applications based on a rubric outlining 4 criteria areas, including organizational planning, diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility, artistic or cultural impact, and community impact. Panelists were given a full month to carefully review and assess applications and assign scores from 1 to 100 based on the applicant's adherence to the panelist scoring rubric provided. You can also find a copy of the panelist scoring rubric within your packet. It's on page 10 of the Small Organization Sustainability Fund Guidelines. So we received 41 applications by the deadline of December 5th, and 25 of these applications were deemed eligible. All applicants who were deemed ineligible received communication and follow-up from our office and detailed information about the decision. We found that one of the biggest barriers to eligibility was the city requirement around current registration with the Attorney General's Registry of Charities and Fundraisers for all 501c3 grantees and fiscal sponsors. So obtaining current status within the system can take some time, and unfortunately, it did pose a little bit of a barrier for some of those applicants that tried to apply. So each of the 25 organizations who applied were awarded using an award formula which we hoped would provide a meaningful award based on the organization's revenue and panel scores. The maximum award per the Small Organizations Sustainability Fund Guidelines was 50% of the organization's total adjusted revenue, or up to $5,000. Applicants scoring in the top 10% were awarded 100% of their maximum allowable award. Organizations scoring between 70 and 80% were received 95% of their maximum allowable award, and applicants scoring below 70% received 90% of their maximum allowable award. Here you can see a list of awardees and their award amounts. You'll notice that we have a diverse group of grantees, including theater companies, visual arts organizations, film societies, arts therapy and inclusive arts organizations, literary organizations, performing arts groups, and others who contribute to Sacramento's dynamic creative economy. We're so thrilled to be able to support these organizations and the important work that they do throughout Sacramento County. So thank you, Commissioners, for allowing me to speak about the Essential Grants Program, the Small Organization Sustainability Fund, and I welcome any questions if you have them.
Thank you. Are there any speakers on this from the public?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, we do have one speaker for this item. Justina?
Hello, Commissioners. My name is Justina Martino. Apologies, I had oral surgery 6 weeks ago, so my voice is a little slurred. I live in D6, and my business and art practice is in D4 at Prism Art Space. I'm an artist and the owner of Art Tonic, a Sacramento-based business with community and a business with a fiscal sponsor that provides community-engaged project management and artist professional development support. I am grateful that the Small Organization Sustainability Fund was established, and I think that the OAC did a great job at outreach. Many folks came to Art Tonic and said we should have applied, but we were not eligible to apply. So I just want to share my experience in the case that it could inform future rounds if this is offered again. Okay, let's see. So we are a small arts business, LLC, that primarily does community-based work in artist professional development. We are fiscally sponsored by Friends of Sacramento Arts. We were not eligible because while we are small and our revenue is pretty low, it is over $25,000 because we do have to pay ourselves to eat food and all that great stuff. We were ineligible for the Cultural Art Awards because we are not a 501c3. It was my understanding that this was meant for people who are ineligible for the Cultural Art Awards. If there are future rounds of this opportunity, is it possible that the eligibility requirements are reconsidered? My suggestion is to raise the cap a bit, 100,000 or under, or maybe only include revenue that's like the community-based services. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Chair, there are no other speakers for this item.
Thank you. It looks like we have Commissioner Wallace.
I think I have a question for April. I may have missed this. I think I'm doing two things at the same time today. How many, do we have a sense of how many organizations like meet the criteria that we set for this?
Well, we had 41 applicants. How many people were actually eligible? I mean, we really did extensive outreach to try to reach those folks, but, you know, I think there's always more work to be done in that range. So it's hard to know. I mean, some of these organizations that are this small, you know, they don't have a website. Maybe they're just, advertising on Facebook and Instagram and stuff. So there were some challenges trying to identify some of these organizations, but I think that we did, you know, as much outreach as we possibly could to really reach the groups that we could, and yeah.
I was going to ask something similar to what Justina just brought up, which was sort of, did we do any analysis of like who might fall into that gap between the limit for CAA grants and the sustainability, the small organization sustainability?
Yeah, so that $25,000 cap really, we chose that as that is the funding, the revenue minimum to be able to apply for the Cultural Arts Awards. So that's why we chose that amount. So it was really aimed at getting those folks who couldn't be eligible for the Cultural Arts Awards for, you know, whatever reason that was. So yeah, that's why we chose that $25,000 gap or amount, and we really hoped that that would sort of bridge the small little gap that we have left behind by the Cultural Arts Awards.
Right. Yeah, I think it's really good work, and we'll just encourage the community, especially our community ambassadors, to try to encourage folks to pay attention to availability like this, because they're going to have an understanding of what's happening on the ground that we might not otherwise have.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Winlock?
April, this is fantastic. I want to just commend you on your work and how you brought, our small organizations are the foundation for our community and culture. And one of the questions I have is looking at who these small organizations are and how do we connect them to some of our larger organizations, because in some ways they're doing the same work. I was just thinking about the issue about when you look at Poetry Out Loud or the poetry group, the Poetry Tree. Do they know about 916 Inc. in that connection, and so that they know that here's another resource that's a part. I was thinking about Sacramento Flute Club. Do you know how difficult it is in our schools and our bands to have those trainers that are involved with our kids that play the flute? Here's another resource that could be used in those areas. But I just really applaud you, and of course the city and all that were involved in it. And we should continue to make sure that we're taking it further so those organizations can continue to be nurtured by, some of our bigger organizations, some of our ones that are a part of that. But again, this is just outstanding.
Yeah, thank you for that, Commissioner Winlock. I think that's a great idea. We do have this is a one-year grant, so we have 1 year to really find some creative ways to connect these organizations with some, broader resources. So certainly we'll take that under advisement. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Any other comments from commissioners? Thank you so much.
Chair Lavulu, if I could just comment briefly, I first wanted to congratulate all of the recipients of this inaugural award, and also thank all of the applicants. It can be a challenge if you're not, used to applying, but I just want to encourage folks who may be beginning their grant making or grant writing journey to seek out help where available. I want to thank the California Arts Council and Sacramento County. Absolutely, without their support and additional funding, this program would not be possible. We are a proud designated county arts organization through the state and local partner program, and that couldn't happen without our partnership with Sacramento County. I also want to thank all of the panelists who are also sort of the unsung heroes of the process, and they really spend a lot of time and care in learning our process, but also contributing their feedback, which is important and integral to the process. I think that overall, the level of human touch and support that is exemplified by our program staff, I just want to acknowledge that once again under the direction of Melissa Cerrone, Grants and Programs Manager, and just the amazing work of April Bryce and Jacqueline Ruiz. I am exceptionally happy that we were able to launch this program to really reach those, micro organizations, those very far below the radar organizations, groups that are making things happen out of someone's, garage or living room table, and this is really bringing community together. So I just want to acknowledge all the partners and especially our staff. So thank you.
Thank you. Our next item is Phase 1 Review Artists and Location Temporary Public Art Application Program. Public Places, Art in Public Places, with presenter of Donald Gensler.
It's not that one. It should be another presentation. The temporary public art program. Oh, that's right there, item 6. Guys, I didn't make the agenda. So item 6, it's not the annual report, and then I saw it there. It's the application, temporary public art application. If you pull up the icons again, that one right there. Yeah, that's it. Perfect. Thank you so much. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for having me today. My name is Donald Gensler. I'm the Art and Public Places Manager here with the Office of Arts and Culture. I'm really thrilled. I'm going to be presenting twice, so, dig in. But first, I'm here to present Phase 1 for temporary public art application proposal. And last time I was here, I shared with you all some Phase 2 applicants. And so it's really my pleasure to share with you an applicant who has actually been talking with us for quite some time and finally turned in their application for a new mural at Lawrence Park in Sacramento. To remind you, our temporary public art policy has 2 phases. So the first phase, we review location and the artist who's interested in presenting this particular project. Both phases do require community engagement, and they require evidence that this artist or applicant has support. So you'll notice in the application here from Brianna Gallman, she goes by Art by Bray is her company. This is her application. The date for the work to be installed is actually going to be a little later. They're looking now in August. But Brianna is proposing to do a project on an existing restroom facility there at Lawrence Park. And I'll show you some examples of her work. Her project both involves community and is really rooted in her kind of dialogue with her neighbors and her community in and around this Lawrence Park area. And this is her current budget. She is still at a little bit of a budget shortfall, but I went to their neighborhood association meeting and they feel confident they're continuing to raise funds for her proposed project. So you can see Brianna's background here. She continues to work as a visual artist. We reviewed as Art and Public Places program. We feel confident in Brianna's ability to do this particular project. And we also spoke with the Parks Department, who oversees this particular facility. They feel comfortable with a project happening at that location and Brianna specifically doing that project. These are some examples of her past work. This is a piece she did also in Sacramento. This was a piece at an elementary school. She's showing all examples of past mural pieces. Looks like the slide maybe wrong direction there. And just another view of that same mural image. And then another one here, I believe at an elementary, middle school. Yeah, Rosa Parks Middle School, also in Sacramento. Also, Brianna was part of a cohort of artists who did projects as part of the Clean California project actually in Commissioner Eisenberg's district. And this was an alleyways cleanup project, and a number of artists, including Brianna, did designs that were done in pavers in the different alleyways along Dixie Ann Avenue. And she also, at that same time, these projects from that same area were these bollards that were then painted as well for that alleyway project. And that alleyway project was really quite wonderful, and Brianna participated fully as an artist in that program. While we did not manage that program, I was aware of her work there and the work of the other artists and city staff. And then these are images of the bathroom facility. Again, apologies, for some reason they seem to be not quite organized how we had planned. But you can see the restroom facility here. We have been told by the Parks Department that this restroom is slated in the next 2 or 10 years to be demolished and a new restroom facility put in. So the neighborhood association is aware, and Brenyana is aware that may happen, and they would still like to proceed forward. And we're happy that they are deciding to do so. And this just gives you a little idea. Brenyana has kind of gone over and above in the sense that she really anticipates and has taken time. When I say over and above, she's really taken time to think about, read the policy and understands our relationship to Creative Edge. So this is entirely her looking at her Creative Edge plan and thinking about how her particular project will meet some of the goals of our Creative Edge plan. So I encourage you to look at that. And I really applauded Brenyana at the Neighborhood Association meeting and personally in her work and her preparation of her application. And she also is planning to do a community paint day event. And when I was there with the Neighborhood Association, everybody was really excited to participate. A little bit of extra information that I just found out. They have been slated to be one of the projects for Habitat for Humanity. So Habitat for Humanity in the next couple months will be out there. They'll do a big cleanup day. They're going to help her prime that restroom facility and do a number of other improvements there at the park. So it's really exciting, and it's an exciting way to see art kind of helping to drive a community forward in a number of aspects of improvement. Exactly the type of thing that we like to see from a temporary public art project application. And as you can see also here, some of the letters of support that she's received here from Councilmember Guerra's office and other community members from the Lawrence Park Committee and then individual residents as well. So with that, I will say that she does have the staff support to proceed with this project in phase 1, and she does have parks and facilities support to proceed with her project at the bathroom facility there. And so now we are opening up the discussion as is part of each phase of this. And I'll tell you real quick, the reason that we do this phases is because we don't want somebody to take the time to necessarily go through all the design process if it's not feasible for them to go at that location. So we've broken it down into these phases and making sure that each step of the way it's possible. So again, she does have staff support, and I'd like to open it up for any discussion, thoughts, comments from you all before we recommend that she move forward for phase 2.
That's great.
Are there any public comments?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, we do have one speaker for this item, Lambert.
I just got off a flight last night, and I thought I was finished. And the family and the millennials told me to come down here. And usually when they ask me to do something, I do it for them because they have taken our family global. That's why I was out of town. Now, as I listened to this, the first one, I missed it, which was number 3. It was so small that I couldn't see it. I'll have to study it when I get home. But I'm wondering is, while I hear all of these things about great events, I wanted to make sure that, and I know Megan will make sure that, and also Melissa, I'm big fans of them because they have helped the Grant Drumline. I'm not sure if Melissa's been on the campus, but I know Megan has. Megan is well received at Grant High School, and I'm a Grant High School alumni, and I know that. They were supposed to go to Ireland last year, and I'm not sure if they went because I've been in and out of town, but I'll find out because I know their parents and grandparents. And hopefully, in this budget, you will have money for them. Because every time they go somewhere, it turns out to be a very good experience, no scandals, and I'm very proud of them. It's the Grant Drumline. I don't know if I saw them up there, it was awful small, but they could use $25,000. When you're traveling and lodging and food, every penny counts. So that's what I have to say on that issue.
Thank you for your comments. Chair, there are no other speakers for this item.
Thank you, and thank you for the presentation as well. I don't think I said that, Donald. Thanks for the presentation, and it looks like, Steve, did you have something?
I did. It kept coming on and on, but I've got it. Don, I'm very impressed that the community is so heavily involved in making this decision, making this mural happen. One of the questions I have is the artist planning of using the community in any way to actually put the art up or any of that kind of stuff? Is there any of that?
Yeah, she is going to have a community paint day, most likely in August, when they have a regularly scheduled kind of back to school, back to community event where they invite folks to come out. So she's going to utilize that pre-existing event to do a paint by numbers type of community paint day. But I will say also she has, and I think murals can follow many different formats, but Brianna has decided that for this particular project, she really wanted to solicit responses from her community. So you all, actually, I can tell you, I mean, if you all recommend approval, we're probably ready to come back for phase 2 as quickly as next month. So she's really quite far along in the process, but she worked really hard with a number of community members to think about what might be best and most appropriate for that location. So yes, very much involved.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Carter.
Okay, David, so good to see you again, sir.
Donald.
Donald, sorry.
No worries.
David,
Good to see you too, because
Good
I
to
appreciate
see
you
you.
coming out to our event last week.
Absolutely, and you put on a fantastic event, but I do have a couple of questions. I know that the artist was able to raise a couple $1,000s so far. What's that amount that she's looking to receive? Or what would be necessary?
Yeah, Commissioner Carter, thank you for that, giving me this opportunity. Our temporary public art program is not a city-funded program in the sense that our staff time, we're spending our staff time to review these applications because applications do come in for projects on city property, but we don't have any funds allocated or a process allocated in order to provide funding for these types of projects. They come in at many different times. They're unsolicited. Right. So she's raising that money on her own, as are all when I present a project that's under the temporary public art application process, generally is not city funded. So in this case, Brianna has been raising the money both on her own and also with the help of her neighborhood association as well. Okay. And she will be out, assuming you all recommend approval that she proceeds to the next phase, she'll come out and for phase 2 when we present her design.
Okay, cool. All right.
I think she still has about a $2,000 plus deficit in terms of her budget.
Okay, so about 2,000 more until she's reached the amount that she's looking for.
Yeah, and they're looking at some different fundraising opportunities over the next few months.
And then my second question would be is once she receives the amount that's needed, how soon until she's starts, she's able to paint?
I mean, I think she's moving on with a process at this stage. My sense is that they really want to move forward with the process, and so they would start in August. The plan is to begin in August for the actual painting of the mural, and then I believe it would be maybe June when Habitat for Humanity is supposed to come out and help them with the preparation of the wall and the priming of the wall. To be ready to accept her design. Thanks, Commissioner.
Thank you. Commissioner Wallace?
Chair. Great job, Donald. I had some questions. This was amazing, and her application was amazing and super well structured, and I was wondering if there were two things that happened. Did we, by any chance, create like a template based on the community mural program that you oversaw as something for folks who are doing this to follow? Because I noticed she had like community paint day and like, really good organization and collaboration with the community. And then if not, would we be willing to ask her if she could share that with others, or if we could take hers and share it with future applicants?
Yeah, so we didn't create a template per se, like a document, but the Community Murals Sacramento still has a website, and I can let you all know that our intention is to announce a second round of that at the end of this year that would probably start next year. But I think that's a great idea. To my knowledge, Brenyana just clearly did her homework. She understood Creative Edge. She read through the goals, but I did speak with her a little bit, but she came in to staff at a couple different events and just asked us kind of preliminary questions in preparing her application, and that was really helpful in moving it along quickly. But I think that's a great idea, utilizing her application as an example. But I'll talk to her about that, and we could, maybe think about creating like an FAQ sheet. Maybe it doesn't name Brenyana specifically, but it says successful applications have done the following things. And I think that it would be good to, to highlight that, because I think that it follows what we were hoping could come out of this type of program.
Great.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Yeah, thank you.
I was going to ask something along the similar lines of Commissioner Wallace. I was going to say, can you remind us what the process to be granted a project like this is? So it sounds like she did her homework. She identified a space that she wanted to actually put a mural on, and then she had to go about to find her funding, because it is something that she has to fund herself and raise those funds, right? She also has to maintain it as well if anything happens to it, correct?
Yeah, and it's not just for murals. It could be for any project. Oftentimes, murals do end up being the projects that come in through our temporary public art program. But we've done a few other sculptural projects. Yeah. Yes, you are correct. So she found the location. She did a little bit of preliminary work. We always ask for people to come in and do a kind of a 30-minute consultation with us. She had done that over a couple different sessions. Just met us at some different events as well. Asked us about it, and told us about her intention of applying. She will be responsible for the maintenance. We are working with her, and we work with everybody in terms of what we think are best practices in terms of putting a sealer on there that will make it easier to clean off graffiti. Yeah. And a lot of times the graffiti might just be a simple Sharpie marker or something that could be easily cleaned off, but you want to get ahead of it before it goes too far. We work with them. The Parks Department works with it. It's a little bit of a nuanced process in that it is technically the licensee's responsibility. The city does not then take on that responsibility to maintain the art, which I think is the crux of your question. So we don't do that, but we do work with them, and sometimes parks will alert us when there's an issue, or if it's a small issue, sometimes they'll take care of it. But technically, it is the licensee's responsibility, and also it gives me an opportunity, also, Commissioner, to mention this type of license can also be revoked at any time. So if the Parks Department, YPC, Youth Parks and Community Enrichment, says we need to tear down that facility and put up a new facility, they are not going to provide the funds to reinstall the mural. And Brenyana and the Neighborhood Association do understand that. Yeah. So I do also think that these are, template, like use that word template that Commissioner Wallace mentioned. I mean, I think these are good opportunities for us also to think about, potential future projects. If there's enough interest, maybe murals on restroom facilities may be an opportunity for our office to look at, if we can identify funding. But for these projects that come to us unsolicited, when a community member just has the idea, it'll be their responsibility moving forward to maintain it.
Yeah, I think the idea behind my questioning is just because if anybody wanted to if they saw some place where they thought it could be beautified,
Yeah.
and they didn't know what the process of it was, that they didn't know that they could just bring it to you guys and say, hey, I have an idea. I see this that I think could be beautified, and here's my idea. Can we talk about it? And then you let them know, like, here's A, B, and C. It is on you to get
Yeah.
the funding, but it can be done. Do they have to be like a nonprofit or anything, or it can be an individual artist?
They don't have to be a nonprofit. We do have the policy on our resources page, on our APP link on our page, on the city page. So they can read through the whole policy, and it explains that. But they don't have to be a nonprofit. They do have to have commercial general liability insurance, which oftentimes is a bit of a barrier for folks, and they do need to fund it on their own. And so we're going to look at their budget and say, hey, does that seem reasonable for what you are planning to do? And then I might come back to the applicant and say, hey, you've only allocated this. In my experience, that doesn't seem like it's going to be a reasonable amount for what you plan to do on this city facility. Why don't you rethink that and come bring that back to us? Sometimes that does happen, and sometimes, unfortunately, that means that the application doesn't move forward. But we do have some of those preliminary conversations. We also don't want somebody to spin their wheels and spend their time on something that's not going to be possible. Sometimes the other department, we don't run, our Office of Arts and Culture doesn't run any facilities currently. So if another department, like the Parks Department or Utilities Department, says, hey, no, we're going to be doing this to that, you can't do that now, then we let them know that information as well.
Right. Thank you. Commissioner Carter?
Donald, thank you so much for that. And you actually touched on it a little bit when it came to the mural on the restrooms. I know that they're going to be talking about tearing it down between 2 to 10 years. Has any discussion been had about the next step when they do tear it down? Like, is she going to be able to, does she have to go through the same process for the new restrooms?
I mean, most likely it would be the same process. It's possible that, let's say, just hypothetically, they were to do it and the mural's been very well received. We'll talk with the Parks Department and say, hey, do you think that this would be something that you all would want to see? So as a city-initiated process. So since she's already gone through, if she's going to be painting essentially the same design, the Parks Department is behind it, then it might be more of a city-initiated process, which is a little faster generally, and it's not really a two-phase process. It's where another city department has said, we want this to happen on our facility. It's not an Art in Public Places program project, but we'll help guide that through. So it is possible. I will say the last thing, the reason that they said 2 or 10 years, and always gets a little bit of a chuckle, is that, we don't know from year to year. Other departments don't always know what is going to be allowed in the budget. The restroom does need to be updated. I mean, that was one of the things that came out at the community association meeting was, hey, when are you guys are going to update this, because this has been here a long time. It's not in the greatest condition. But of course, as I'm sure you all know, we are in a current budget deficit here in the city. And so there's some hard choices that have to be made. And so this year, funding wasn't available. And so they're just looking towards future funding. This is not the only restroom facility that has a similar designation to say in 2 or 10 years, they plan to update it. It's just whenever they can find the appropriate funds to put towards that.
Right. And the reason for my question is I just don't want this mural to go up. It's a beautiful painting or beautiful mural.
Yeah.
And then, a couple of years to just be tear down because of city.
Totally get it. Yeah, and I think that, and one of the things that came up at the community meeting, and I always find this really interesting, is how, there were some issues about that. There were some other issues in the park. And, the council members' staff was there. There were other folks from the city there. And, as I told them, an art project like this shows city folks that you guys are engaged and you want to make things happen and improve in your neighborhood. And so I think that's, I've seen it through the years be a real lightning rod for positive changes. So I would think, certainly I'm happy to be involved as a city, another city division, to encourage to find some way to have it reinstalled, but I just can't promise that right off the bat. And so she does realize that if she paints it and they do put in a new facility, it's gonna, we're gonna have to kind of reevaluate that situation. It's reasonable though but we did make sure to discuss it with her. Thanks, Commissioner.
Thank you. Commissioner Eisenberg?
Hey, sorry. Mike muted. Hey, hi, Donald. I got a question. I kind of got to talk my way to my question, I guess. Are there city properties that the program doesn't cover? Or is, like, for example, someone came up to me recently and wanted to do things with utility boxes, and I said, well, there's already a program for that, but not all utility boxes necessarily are painted or wrapped or whatever.
Right.
And then there are buildings that the city owns that people don't necessarily even know the city owns. Like, for example, along the Del Paso Boulevard, there's a few buildings that I don't think everybody knows are necessarily city-owned, and I don't know if those get covered by this program. And is there a way to differentiate or let people know more so that they can kind of be more, targeted in who they would approach?
Yeah, so I'll unpack that a little bit for you. As far as the utility boxes go, there's a lot of different issues there. One, not every utility box is a city utility box. There's also differentiations. The utility boxes that we're generally talking about when we talk about wrapping are traffic signal boxes. They're often at intersections or near intersections. Okay. Those are city-owned if they're within the city limits. So there could be very similar looking boxes, but in the county of Sacramento, which is not part of our jurisdiction. Right. So that's the first thing. Second thing, there's also SMUD boxes that look different, but they're still a utility box, and they have a whole different program. We're always happy to help guide people, and I do actually quite often guide people on things just like that. Okay. And how do you determine which box is which and this and that. We don't have like a list of everything. Equally, we don't really, technically we could have a list of properties, but we don't have, the staff power to kind of go through and determine whether those properties might be good for public art or not. I will say that we are looking towards a public art master plan, and that should be something that we look into. Are there city properties that we've pre-identified that could be really great for some public art? Yeah, okay. So that's something that we would definitely discuss once we bring a consultant in and work towards that master plan, which we do hope that will happen within the next year or so. So that's a big important step. And then the last thing I will say is the temporary public art program was really created for kind of unsolicited proposals. So we don't necessarily want to incentivize projects that we're not necessarily prepared for or don't even have funding for. Right. So if somebody comes to us and says, hey, I really always want to do this project on this city facility, then we can look into the specifics of that facility. But without having funding allocated for these other facilities, the optics of it might be difficult because people might go, well, hold on, you told me that facility's available, but now you don't have any funds for me to do anything. So I'm not sure that we're going to spend our time doing that for the temporary public art program, but I think that it's something certainly to think about. And you're right, there are city buildings, and the city buildings may be places where we look at spaces for artists. I know that Melissa in our office is starting to look at that with organizations, spaces that artists might rent or utilize in some way. So I think that is a larger discussion that I'd love to have with you at some other point.
Yeah, that'd be great. Okay, thank you. Thank you. That's helpful. Thanks.
Thank you. Is there a motion recommending the temporary public art application for a mural at the Lawrence Park restroom facilities to pass?
Make the motion? Yes.
Yes. Commissioner Ohabu? Is there okay, Commissioner Wallace seconds. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Okay, the motion passes with 0 commissioners abstaining and 0 commissioners in opposition. Our next item is going to be presented again by Donald, and this one is for Art in Public Places Overview and Updates presentation.
And just a quick moment of clarification. Thank you for passing the motion for approval, recommending approval of Phase 1 for that application at Lawrence Park. You will likely see us then as soon as next month when Brenyana will be here and we present Phase 2. Great, thank you so much. So I'm here for this second presentation. One, to give you an update. I did an update about this time last year. It's crazy how fast it's moved. And I may actually try to come back in October of this year because some of the things that I'm going to share with you here may be an appropriate time to give you a little bit more of an update. We are combining this as a kind of program level update, along with sharing with you some projects, which I would love for you to discuss if you have some questions on. It's your opportunity, and it's a kind of a public forum for us to share some upcoming projects and projects that are currently underway. So please feel free to comment on those. As we go through, some of the photos you'll have seen before, but there'll also be a few new ones. For example, I don't know that I'd shared this previously, but this Troy Corliss Poet Laureate Park in South Natomas. We are planning on potentially even updating that in the future with new poet laureates come into the program. So stay tuned for that. So I'm going to very quickly, just because some of the commissioners here have been around for a little while, and some are newer, and some are coming back. And so everybody's at some different spots. And so I thought I would just do a really super quick overview. Some of you may have seen some of this before last year. Then I'll just update you a little bit on SB 456. It's a new bill that it's important that you know is now law as of January 1st. And talk a little bit about our historic public art collection. And then lastly, recent and upcoming public art projects. I did want to say, when I bring up the historic and public art collection, I'm joined today by my colleague and fellow staff member, Amy Takahama Chapman, who's been working really quite hard on our management of the collection, and I appreciate all Amy's work and dedication on that, along with the day-to-day and all the other project management work that she works with us on. So, the program was established in 1977, and at that point was actually when the first commission, then named SMAC, was created in order to help manage this 2% for public art program. Municipal program started in 1954. The city of Philadelphia was the first municipal public art program in the country. We now own 450 city-owned works. We did separate from the county. When the program was created, we were a dual agency, city and county. We are now just a city agency as of 2019, and then became the Office of Arts and Culture. And it is nice to note that 60% of our works are by local and regional artists. I will say, though, that we try to find a nice balance between making sure that we support our local art community and our regional art community, but also bring in ideas and creative thoughts from outside of this area as well. You notice here is a piece by an artist, Larry Meeks, who recently, you'll see again a little bit, talk about, is one of our mentors after doing a number of projects with the city. Larry Meeks is also one of our mentors on our Birds and Benches project. This is one of his projects in North Natomas. SB 456 was a bill really put together through a coalition of conversations across the entire state of California. That realization that in 1974, the California State Licensing Board defined the definition of contractor. And it was their interpretation that muralists should, after that point, have had a C33 or D64 license in order to paint any mural over $500 in value. As many of you will know, there's been many murals painted in the state of California since 1974, and I will tell you that the vast majority of those were not painted by licensed contractors. So in fact, the law was not being followed, and there was a coalition of folks, myself included, who felt, one, that the interpretation was not following really what everybody understood, that muralists are making fine art on the walls. And so we worked with Senator Ashby, who authored the bill, former council member Ashby, and the California Arts Advocates and the League of California Cities, and I'm happy to say that we received zero opposition in either the Senate or the Assembly or in any of the committees. Everything passed with an entirely always yes vote. We did have some conversations from some contractors and the licensing board and some specific groups, but in the end, the bill did pass, and the governor signed it into law on October 3rd, and so January 1st, it went into law. So just so you know, muralists now can paint on a wall without having a contractor's license. They can also prep the wall with primer as they need to prepare for a fine art mural on the wall. That's not a sign. That's not a decorative painting on or in a wall. It is a fine art mural on the wall, and it's really been quite an important event for the state of California. They also need to follow any and all safety guidelines as laid out by Cal OSHA when muralists are doing their work. So there's nothing that would change as long as those things are concerned. Just a couple quick images. I did show this last time. I show these two. One, the first Gerald Wahlberg was the first large-scale sculpture done as a Percent for Art program project. And then I show you the images on the right just to reiterate that this is the airport, which I'm sure everybody here is familiar with. This is no longer part of the city collection. So this is a county collection and is owned and maintained by the County of Sacramento now. But we do have many pieces, a newer piece from Vicky Scurry in the River District, and then, for example, a piece that many of you may be familiar with, the large number of darts around the Doco area of the new stadium called Missing the Mark by Gail Hart. If you're interested, take a picture. This is how you can go onto our GIS mapping. Again, Amy and our folks from IT department were instrumental in that. I did share that with you all last time as well, but we are continuing to update that. We have a couple really excellent interns from Sacramento State this year, and they've been doing a great job helping us with that as well. So that collection and that GIS mapping continues to grow, and we even have some pre-planned tours that are being added to that GIS mapping. So you can go on there when you have a moment. So I'm going to update you about some recent and upcoming public art projects. This is really the crux of why I made sure to be here this month. So we're going to talk briefly about the Living Balance, Birds and Benches, North Sacramento Library, and MLK Library. Before I do that, though, I do want to say that there's one more project that I will come back in October and share with you, October or November, and share with you all. It's a Creative Crosswalks project. It's been talked about for a while, but we are in process right now at Garden Valley Elementary and at Smythe Academy, and I wanted to kind of formally announce the two artists. At Garden Valley Elementary, we have Jolene Russell, who's the design artist, and Christina Stevenson, who's the teaching artist at Garden Valley Elementary. And then at Smythe Academy, we have Yuli Smith, who's the design artist, and Emma Monteplano, who's the teaching artist at Smythe Academy. So we're really excited to be working with the Twin Rivers School District, with the teachers at both of those schools, with the principals of those schools, and the communities in and around those schools. And I look forward to giving you all some more updates. We're just getting started. Actually, next week, we hope to have those artists in the school working with students on a Creative Crosswalk project, which I will update you all on next time I'm here. For right now, I wanted to share with you the Living Balance, which was a project that I shared with the commission a couple years back that is now complete. This is by Liv Unger. This is the completed mural. It is actually a vinyl mural. It is a 25-foot by 200-foot long mural at the Baylor Building at the Sutter's Landing Regional Park. And if you have any reason to go out there, if for no other reason than to see this mural, I encourage you to do that. It is really quite stunning. It is also a wonderful teaching tool for children and adults alike. There are over 70 different plant and animal types from the American River. The artist Liv Unger worked with the Wilton Rancheria and also identified a number of kind of Native American stories and myths. And so the animals and the plants are organized within those kind of creation myth stories. And even there are some artifacts kind of snuck in here and there in different places that show some of the background of the indigenous communities. And it was really also quite wonderful. We worked with a third grade class from a local Washington Elementary in the area that got to participate as well in some of the early discussions. And a paint day event inside this Baylor building, which also, yes, is the skate park. So we have the nature outside and the skaters inside, and they can mix quite well. So this was our dedication event, and also wanted to share with you this wonderful teaching tool that Liv Unger put together. When we talked about a teaching tool, I never thought we would have something quite this magnificent, but I encourage you to take a picture. You can download it from this QR code or directly on our website, and you print it out, share it with your kids, share it with fellow nature enthusiasts in your family or friends, and learn about all the different plant and animal types in the river. The names are in 3 different languages, both English, Latin, and the Nisenan language as well. So it's really quite comprehensive, a lovely teaching tool addition to that project. Birds and Benches has launched. Appreciated seeing Commissioner Carter out joining us for one of our Birds and Benches event when Ronnie Frostad presented just last week. So it is a 212-acre park, and we're going to be installing 10 benches in and around the park in the area, designed by artists. But phase 1 is happening this year, and then there's 5 phase 1 artists working with a number of care holder groups. These are our care holder partners, and those partners are made up by the Shingle Springs Band of Miwok Indians, the Wilton Rancheria, the Audubon Society, the Natomas Basin Conservancy, and the Natomas Charter School. And this Wednesday, hopefully we'll get it on our website soon, and you'll see a little bit. It's all happened a little bit quickly. But Shingle Springs has found that they really want to do their presentation this Wednesday. So there'll be a lunchtime presentation this Wednesday from 12 to 1. You can tune in on Zoom. They're going to be talking about the land and their time in being here in the land of Sacramento. So we're thrilled to be able to host them for that lunchtime Zoom meeting. We'll get you some information on that. I'm going to go rather quickly here. This gives you just some examples of the kind of artistic benches that we might be looking at and some of the incredible bird life in and around the Natomas Basin. We do have a website up that we continue to update. So again, another QR code and a calendar, which should be coming out this week. It's been tough trying to make some final changes to the calendar. We have a calendar coming out this week, hopefully with all the events through the year of 2026. These are all engagement events that are helping the Phase 2 artists develop their ideas for the benches. So it's an entire year of engagement events that really help in that process, and really break down the process for those artists that were awarded commissions but don't have as much experience. That was a big part of what we're doing with this project as well. I had heard many, many years people say, well, I haven't done as many projects. How do I get one? And how do I start? And so this is really an opportunity, especially for some artists, to have their first really public art project, sculpture project especially. All right, so With that, the final two projects that I want to share with you. One, the RFQ is out currently, so if you have artists or folks that know artists, please go to our submittable website for the North Sacramento Hagenwood Library. It is a new public art request for qualifications. We will be selecting up to 5 finalists to propose a new artwork for the new library there on Del Paso Boulevard. These are some images of the library, and you can find out more about the RFQ on our Office of Arts and Culture submittable site. And these just give you some images of what the new facade will look like. Yes, and this is the old Sacramento News and Review building, if it looks kind of familiar. So that's where that was from. This gives you a little bit idea of the timeline. The deadline to submit for the RFQ is March 23rd, and we do hope to allow stakeholders to meet with the finalists prior to them then presenting in June. And then we hope to have this dedicated at least by June of 2027, although I do know that the council member and many folks would like to see this happen even sooner, so we'll just see what's possible there. So really exciting project at the North Sacramento Library. And then the last one, just a couple slides here. This one has not gone out yet, but this is the Martin Luther King Library on 24th Street. This is really particularly exciting in that this is the first library in the United States of America to be named after Dr. Martin Luther King. And in fact, the council named it the day of Dr. King's assassination. So they were as the story goes, they were having a council meeting here on the day that he was assassinated, and they changed the name, or they decided then as a council they voted to name that library after Dr. Martin Luther King. So feel very proud to have an opportunity to expand the public art. There's already some wonderful public art at this library. We are specifically looking at this entrance area. In the future, I'm working with our Public Works team to try to bring us in much earlier. The library itself is going to be reopening in the next month, if it's not already. Well, I think April is their plan. And in the future, we would have loved to have started earlier, but we didn't find out about the opportunity till a little later. So this is the main entrance, even though from the outside, it doesn't quite look like it. This is the main entrance of the library, and this is where the public art will be. Probably not murals. We're looking for something kind of sculptural elements, but mainly on the walls as you enter into the library. So take a look for that RFQ to come out as well. Hopefully we're looking at that coming out in April, and $150,000 budget for an artist. We probably, for this one, we won't select finalists. We'll just select an artist from their past work, and then that artist will really be able to dig in with the community to determine their final design. All right, that gives you a little sense of what that timeline looks like. Again, the RFQ should go out in April with a hopeful dedication event for September of 2027. I am thrilled to be able to share these updates with you all. I'm particularly interested in any questions that you have, well, on anything that I've presented, but also specifically about these 2 library projects, either the one that's out right now or this MLK library, because this is the first time I'm presenting both of these to the commission. All right.
Thank you. Donald, do we have any public speakers?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, we have one speaker for this item. Lambert?
I'm going to really make some statements here now. Based upon what I just heard, I would suggest that the city attorney, you pay attention. Instead of looking at computers, make sure you pay attention, because I'm directing this to you and the rest of this. Now, this Brianna, this disturbs me, because here's a person with talent. They want her to go into debt and then tear the building down that she went into debt for, versus the last time I was here, and I just heard the former vice chair of this commission say, well, we would like to have more money than 25,000. We'd like to have 100,000 for food and basic necessities. Now they're wanting $25,000 to $100,000 more, and they can't find any money for the underdog. I have a problem with that. I truly do. And I have issues with those two as well, because they both denied that Wide Open Walls and the other part of that group did not receive funding. And we did a lot of homework to find out that they did. As a matter of fact, I think her last name is Ulich she's the director, the auditor found out that it was true. So here we are crushing a person for $5,000, and you got people getting unwritten agreements, and we still haven't found out if they had to pay that money back, but we're gonna find that out. That's one thing I'm gonna do as a native. I wanna find out where that money went.
Thank you for your comments. Chair, there are no other speakers.
Thank you. Commissioner Eisenberg?
Hey, Donald, just for clarification, what is the prow on the Hagenwood Library? It says possible sculpture in prow or parking lot. What is the prow?
Oh, public right-of-way.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, I didn't know that
no,
acronym.
just, trying to keep things.
Thank you.
It is spelled out in the request for qualifications
Okay.
document. And so those are where some of the opportunity zones are in and around. There's also a document on the information packet. I didn't put it all on here for you all, but if you go on the RFQ, you can see where that information is.
Okay.
When the artists apply, they won't be presenting any proposals at this stage, just a very kind of general statement of interest of what they might work towards. But if they are selected as a finalist, we'll pull them together. We'll bring in you and a number of other folks from the area to answer questions for them, and so they can really dive deep and figure out what they would like to propose and in what area. And I'll say one last thing, if I could, Commissioner. We weren't really sure. There was some debate back and forth about, again, this was one where I feel like we were brought in a little on the late side.
Yeah.
And so there's been some question about where to put the art. And so I thought rather than us sitting back and trying to make that decision, from a chair, let's let the artists decide what they think they could do.
Yeah, that's a reasonable way to do it, for sure.
And so sometimes we do it that way, and in this case, that's the way we're going to proceed. We'll have these 5 artists, up to 5 artists, make presentations about what they think they could do if they were awarded the funds, and then we'll work with them to try to make that happen.
Thanks for the clarification.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Carter?
Thank you for this, Donald. I greatly appreciate the presentation that you put on for some of the new projects. A couple of questions I do have I'm guessing for the requirements for the Hagenwood and MLK, they have to live within the city limits, correct?
No.
They don't?
No,
So they can live in the
No,
county?
in fact, most of our projects, because they are publicly funded, we actually can't limit. We'd have to have a very specific purpose to limit who can apply. But I will say the focus for those 2 projects is going to be largely in this kind of region, because the budgets are not as large as maybe some other budgets. So it probably financially is not as possible for somebody, let's say, way out of state.
Right.
So we are, and I will say also, in the rubric for which artists, and it's published ahead of time, the rubric by which artists will be evaluated, there are 2 questions in which you get additional points for being or having a relationship to this local area.
Okay.
So they do get some more points for that.
And then for my second question, just clarification for the MLK. It's no mural that's going to be on the building. It's going to be like a hanging sculpture, or how does?
I mean, that's the thought. I'd say once we see the artists apply, certainly muralists should apply, and anybody working in different mediums should apply. I think that this particular site lends itself really well, potentially for sculptural elements. I'm going to show some images when the thing goes up of like relief sculptures and things like that. We would like to see maybe a relationship to a theme, and the theme may be civil rights in Sacramento. And so that, I think, again, that's something where we'd like to bring the artists on board and then really dive deep with the community members. But yes, the thought was that it would be kind of sculptural elements on the walls as you enter.
Okay.
But I think there's probably a lot of leeway there.
Thank you, Commissioner Winlock.
Donald, I love our art in public places, that we have. But the question that triggers for me is that could you review the ongoing maintenance, how maintenance is, kept on the murals that we've had or the art in public places? What structure have we set in to make sure? Because I want to say that one of the worst things I see when I go to cities that have not kept them up, the murals, the statues, it's an eyesore to the city. What do we do in this about our art in public places?
Yeah, thanks for giving me a chance to talk a little bit about that. I hadn't added so much into that. I really could do a full commission update just on our maintenance program. But I'll take a moment just to share with you. So maintenance is an ongoing issue. Unfortunately, vandalism does happen. We don't feel, as a supporter of the arts and as an advocate for artists, I don't feel like the answer is just not to do art. I feel like we should be doing those things that satisfy us both personally and culturally, and really mean a lot to the people in the city. That said, we've tried to get a real grip on our maintenance projects. We are undertaking about 5 to 6 large-scale maintenance projects a year, and what we're trying to do is really calendar those projects. Now, occasionally, and I'll bring up an example, a project is so egregious, like in terms of how it was desecrated, or vandalized, that it jumped to the top of the pile. And one of those, unfortunately, is on Del Paso Boulevard. We recently had a sculpture that was literally ripped out of the ground. It was not located. We have been a little frustrated by our work with our police department in able to try to locate or even get a police report on that sculpture. But that particular project has risen to the top of the pile because it literally is missing an essential piece of the sculpture. But besides that, Commissioner Winlock, we're working on that, and we have, like I said, 5 other ones lined up that are being finished. We finished about 5 last year. We also are doing a concerted effort to make sure that every piece in the city that is owned by the city has a plaque. And sometimes those plaques are stolen or taken off for the metal, or just vandalized for one reason or another, and then we have to go back and fix that. But we are currently reinstalling or installing for the first time over 100 plaques. We've just installed 5 in the last week, and we have 5 more coming hopefully this next week. And so we're on a pretty good schedule. But these plaques have been missing for a number of years, sometimes as much as 20 or 30 years. And so we're trying to correct that, because I also, when I go to cities, am frustrated when I see artwork that doesn't acknowledge the artist's name or the title or any of that information. So that's a big part of our collection management as well. So it is an ongoing part of what our APP program does, and it's a reason why we do hold a separate fund specifically for maintenance. We do have, last thing I'll mention, for our murals, our community murals, Sacramento, and some of the other mural projects, we have hired contractors to go out. So if I get notified by somebody that there's graffiti, we'll send out a specific person that we've identified that goes out and either cleans off that graffiti or in some cases has to retouch the mural. So we are trying to get a handle on some of that, but we've got a few really big projects coming up for 2026 that we're excited about, and I think maintenance is a big part of anybody's public art program, and it's certainly a big part of ours.
And I want to say that the way that you have outlined, it gives me very confidence that we're working on it. I think in the sense about that maintenance is not something you do when there's right away. You've got to have a plan. You got to look at it. You got to look at it throughout the, through the years. I just love that. So thank you.
Thank you. And that actually was something that occurred to me a couple years ago was we're just being reactionary.
Right.
And I said, this program needs to start to put things on a schedule and have a plan for these pieces. And so we know now what we're going to do in 2026.
Right.
And we have a goal for what needs to get done in 2026. And those things that can't get done in 26 are now into 27. I don't think we have anything identified right now for 28, but that is our plan so that we can tell people, hey, we are working on it, and here's when we plan to get to it. Thanks for that opportunity, Commissioner.
Thank you. Can you tell us the difference between these public spaces and the funding on it? I know that it's city funded for the specific ones and the last presentation that's not funded. Just so that way, because it seems like there might be a little bit of miscommunication on what's going to be funded and what's not taken care of by the city.
Sure, yeah. So our program runs entirely through the funds that we bring in through our public art, 2% for public art program, or the grants that we write that allow us to do projects, or sometimes the earned income when we manage projects for other people. Projects like the temporary public art projects, like the one I was showing you for Lawrence Park, they come in unsolicited. So they just come in at any random moment and somebody says, I want to do this project on a city property. There has not been any selection process. There's not been any call to artists. There's not been any kind of process there. And so what we've said is, okay, we create a policy for that. So since there's no process in place, like for these other projects, like I explained to you, for the libraries, for example, this is out in public for about 2 months. I share it with you all. We have information sessions for artists. We do all that work. We form a panel to make selections. So we find that process is fair. We try to be as fair and equitable as possible and transparent as possible in our process and as objective as possible. But if somebody comes to us and just says, hey, I want to see a piece of art there on a city building or on something that's city owned or managed, this is the temporary public art policy that we've created for that. And so we bring it to you all. We don't then work through a panel. We used to have a really wonderful public art panel, but so there's been some policy changes at the clerk's office, and so we don't do that anymore. But we then instead we bring it through this 2-phase process to you all, and we share the project with you in phase 1, and then if everybody feels that we can move forward to recommend approval, we then go to phase 2. We don't have funds for those projects, and in a way you can understand if I fund those projects that somebody just brings in on their own, then where's the accountability, where's the transparency in that, right? So then it could just be, I just fund whatever, I want to fund this or fund that. So instead, we do try to have a very specific procedure in place so that when we do see funding that's available, we can, and funds are normally tied to a specific area. So you notice that library, the project is going to happen at the library. Sometimes there's a little bit of leeway, but we do generally do the project in or around the same area where that funding is coming from. So if somebody comes to us with another project that's unsolicited, we have a process by which we can review it and then make a determination if the city thinks it's appropriate to move forward.
Okay, so the distinction between the two is that one is unsolicited, that's something that somebody thinks that they could possibly beautify. They
Yep.
still have to bring it to the city to have it worked upon with you guys and then have it reviewed?
Yes.
2 phases. The second one is, this is a city sought-out art project that they are actually looking for someone to put in place in a specific site.
Yes, and then we go through a very formal process to let everybody know about it, let people apply. We have a panel that gets selected to review them. They have a rubric they have to follow. So all that process happens when we are soliciting other folks. And I will say something about the temporary process. We are going to add some fees as well. We've based this on other cities, just because we are spending staff time now reviewing and taking those unsolicited projects through, and there's no funding allocated for those. So the fees are fairly nominal, but at least we're trying to establish something. I will say we're probably the only program in Sacramento that doesn't charge any fees, but we will need to start doing that at the beginning of the next fiscal year.
Thank you. Dr. Ohebu?
Thank you, Chair. And thank you, Donald, for your presentation, and looking forward to your future presentation on the Creative Crosswalk. Just a quick question regarding the Poet Laureate Park. What is your timeline for that? Or when is the estimated timeline when that will...
You just reminded me of something else. So on our website right now for Birds and Benches, you can see the list of all the artists on the website. So that was one thing when you go to that QR code, I don't think I mentioned it, you could see the list of all the artists that were selected for Birds and Benches. Okay, sorry about that. The Poet Laureate Park, we don't have a timeline set for that, but it was brought to our attention that there were only a select number of poet laureates that had a sculpture made with their poetry. And we were having some conversations about the Poet Laureate program, and the conversation came up that it would be really a nice gesture if we could, moving forward, have sculptures by future poet laureates. Now, I don't know how far that extends, but it is something we're looking into, and that's why I put it on the front, just because it's something that we're thinking about. We don't have any funding allocated for it, but it's something that we value our poet laureate program, and we'd like to find a way, if it's possible, to add to that series of sculptures. But again, just really something we're thinking about. Certainly we'll bring it to you all if we do find funding in order to add additional poets to that park. Well, thank you for that.
Thanks so much, Don.
And I don't know, is there a motion on that item?
No,
Okay.
not on that one, just review
Well,
and
motion
comment.
to,
It was just the motion on the last one, and this one is just review and comment.
review and comment, perfect. Thank you so much.
If I could jump in and close, I know we're running a little tight on time, but I just wanted to take another moment to acknowledge the work of Donald Gensler and Amy Tokohama Chapman and our hardworking Art and Public Places staff. Just likewise at every opportunity, keeping community engagement in mind. I'm thinking of our numerous partners that we really lean on, Shingle Springs Band of Miwok Indians, Wilton Rancheria, obviously our county arts agencies, or county agencies that we partner with on all of these, on some of these opportunities. And as you can tell, there's always so much going on and so much that is really below the surface. So I just wanted to give a shout out to our staff on that. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Our next and final item is the 2025 Sacramento Arts, Culture, and Creative Economy Commission Annual Report done by Jason.
Thank you, Chair. Well, this is really an opportunity for me to share a document that many members on this body have been working on for a long time. And in fact, a member in the audience, former chair of the commission, Justina Martina, also worked diligently on some of the foundational aspects of what you are seeing, what you have in front of you. All boards and commissions are required, as we've noted in the past, to submit an annual report. And this is the outcome of that work. You've seen the work plan for 2026 numerous occasions and iterations. I just wanted to call out all of the members of the current body who supported a lot of this language. Really pleased to see how this came together, and I also just want to acknowledge the front page is highlighting a work that Donald was just sharing about. This is the Baylor Building, The Living Balance by Liv Losi Unger of Orlu Arts. And this is just an amazing educational opportunity, combination of environmental stewardship, as well as visual art and community engagement and arts education. I wanted to pass it off to the chair, who could share, if you would like to share your summary thoughts on the past year. I do want to note that that there is a statement that you had prepared as contributing to this report and your reflection on the past year and your leadership for this body.
It would have been great to have known about this prior to right now, that we would have been doing this. But I think that in the past year, this body has done great to uphold the work plan that's thus far. And what we're doing right now with Jason is just kind of sprucing it up a bit, because you know, when we sit behind this desk and when we sit up here, oftentimes we find ourselves not really knowing what we're doing. And I'll speak for myself. And Justina did a really great job of putting together what we have here, but we needed to also find a little bit more how it connects to us individually as commissioners. And so when we were going over it, we were hoping that there was a portion of it where we could actually implement like an actual action item, so that way we're not just bodies behind the seat, we're actually have a task to go out and take out and go handle, and then bring back and report back to the commission board. And so I didn't have anything else prepared, but thank you. I'll give it back to Jason.
Okay, I'll take it back. So I just want to acknowledge the Chair Lavulo for your continuing work. And, you know, this is a relatively new configuration, a lot of new members on the commission, but I think I just wanted to call out your fearlessness and your authenticity and your humility and what you bring to this body. I want to also uplift our Vice Chair, Dr. Ohebu. If you do get a chance, folks, if you do get a chance to read the message from the chair, you'll see what I mean. I think that, you know, we're trying to move in ways and to guide the commission to move in ways that is meaningful and is impactful. And I think that I just wanted to acknowledge that and commend all members of the commission, but especially our chair and our co-chair for the past year and this upcoming year. So the key accomplishments section does a review. It's a recap of all of the significant items that this body had seen over the past year. They're categorized into 4 areas: grants and programs, updates and reviews, art in public places matters, special projects and initiatives, and the policy review and recommendations that were fielded by this body. And the same thing is what you will see, or something similar to this is what you will see towards the end of 2026. You can see a section that identifies expenditures, and then the real meat of this annual report is the work plan for the upcoming year. There were a number of goals identified for this current year, not too far off from what was identified in the past year, and we went through these over a number of meetings. So I'm just sharing again what the commission had decided on, had discussed, and had had gone over to come to these conclusions. I'm just going to share the goals real briefly, but I do want to add that a couple of things that have been modified from the past annual report, just articulating a little bit clearer, hopefully, what action steps would need to happen in order to get this body to the outcomes, the intended outcomes that you have. So there's a little bit of hopefully more clarity and structure if you're going through these 5 goals, which are Goal 1, achieve greater clarity around ACCEC's purpose and role within the City of Sacramento government. Goal 2, enhance community awareness and understanding of ACC as a supportive, accessible resource dedicated to arts and culture. Goal 3, advocate for City of Sacramento policies and initiatives that value, support, and build the arts and cultural community and ecosystem. Goal 4, collaborate with the Office of Arts and Culture to address a variety of infrastructure needs required to sustain a thriving and sustainable arts ecosystem. And Goal 5, work with the office to review the impact of the Creative Edge Plan and develop plans for next stage planning. This is ongoing work. This here, what you have in front of you, I'm going to pass it back to the body just to kind of add any additional thoughts, any suggestions or requests for modifications before this version, which is the draft for the next body that would review this, the Personnel and Public Employees Committee. They would be reviewing this next. That is a presentation that the chair would be invited to present to that body. And after they pass that version, then it will go to the City Council for final approval.
Any commissioners have anything that they would like to add on? And but first, before we do that, we'll go to our public speaker.
Thank you, Chair. We have one speaker for this item, Lambert.
In this, hopefully, really to shock the whole rostrum, and that's my intention. You have a problem down here, okay? I'm a native. I left here, went away to school, came back after I finished everything, and family and friends were coming up to me, telling me things that I couldn't believe. And I said, well, let me go down to City Hall and see what's going on down there. Being a business owner, that got me in the door. And I applied for a lot of things at this city, and I encountered a lot of peculiar behavior by a lot of staff members. I personally believe that it's not all, but a lot of the staff members are the reason why the city's in a deficit. You cannot give money away with no written agreement saying you can't monitor it. What happened to going to their banks? If the IRS audits me, they're going to go say, hey, bring your bank statements in here. I've heard nobody talk about that. That was $160,000 that they said they don't know what happened. And I told my family and the millennials, I'm not coming back here anymore. Not that I don't care about the rostrum. I've seen enough. I know exactly what I see here. And we have 1 million cheesecakes and 1 million carrot cakes to go sell now. And that's my job. And I guarantee you, you will not hear a scandal on us. I won't tolerate that. And the Better Business Bureau won't tolerate it either. You don't become accredited as a business with scandals around you. You must have integrity. And stay alert, those of you who are on this rostrum. When you hear that people don't have money, they have money.
Thank you for your comments. Chair, there's no other speaker on this item.
Thank you. Commissioner O'Hable.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to thank the commissioners for all their work on this work plan. Thank you, Jason, also. And as was mentioned, this is an iterative roadmap for the next 2 years, so we can make adjustments. But I really want to thank everyone for the input, and we can definitely make adjustments as needed. But that's it.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Anyone else? I believe there's a motion to pass, unless you have anything else to say. Can we get a motion to pass?
A motion.
Yeah,
My second?
okay. First by Wellington, Commissioner Smith, second by Commissioner Wilcox. Thank you. And all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All in opposition say, any opposed? Any abstain? Motion passes with opposition from Commissioners 0 and 0 abstention. Looks like we're moving next to our Director's report.
Thank you, Chair. I'll try to be brief. I know clock is winding down if we want to keep this sub 3 o'clock. I first wanted to address a follow-up item. This is number 4 on the current follow-up log. There was a public comment, I think it was in November, and at the last commission meeting, Commissioner Wallace had requested an update on the comment around workforce classifications and positions within convention and cultural services. I just wanted to share that while this is a matter for our sibling division, Safe Credit Union and Convention Center, that I can share that leadership is aware of this issue and is investigating further and looking into the nature of the inquiry. This was an inquiry around anticipated results from a class and comp study and a question around, or a concern around, around workforce development. So I just wanted to note that for the record. And when there are further updates, then I can certainly share them back here with this body. I wanted to share some exciting news that Beza Getahun, who is a student at CK McClatchy, is not only the county Poetry Out Loud poetry recitation competition champion for Sacramento County, but just this morning was recognized at the state capitol as the winner of the statewide Poetry Ourselves poetry thread of the Poetry Out Loud competition. So I'll give a shout out to Beta Getahun, who's a student at CK McClatchy, and we'll see if we can connect with her and her family to see if maybe they can make an appearance at an upcoming commission meeting. So really, this is like phenomenal for Sacramento to continually have a strong showing of this program. And again, Poetry Out Loud, if you are not aware, it is a program that comes out of the Poetry Foundation and the National Endowment for the Arts. All of the county arts agencies across the state are encouraged to participate. A number of school districts in our region participate, and we have a statewide winner of the creative poetry thread of Poetry Out Loud. So congrats to Beza and her family. You may have seen, hopefully folks are subscribed to our newsletter list, the Arts and Culture Summit, as we've shared and you've heard from presenters here at this body. The 4th annual California Arts and Culture Summit returns to Sacramento. The primary day is Monday, April 20th at the Memorial Auditorium and Safe Credit Union Convention Center. The main point that I want to express is that scholarships are now available to Sacramento residents to attend. These are limited scholarships. They're focused on artists, cultural workers, and students. So you can find more information about this opportunity and the summit overall at caforthearts.org and look for California Arts and Culture Summit. I also wanted to share that tomorrow, you are aware that that budget conversations are happening throughout the city. At tomorrow's 2 p.m. City Council meeting will be an early budget work session, a discussion addressing the early budget work session. Representatives from the city manager's office will be speaking. Our director, Megan Van Boris, Convention and Cultural Services Director, will be speaking. Department of Community Response, Fire Department, and Police Department will all be sharing information. And for those who are interested, absolutely encourage you to tune in. You can view online. If you're unable to come to City Hall in person, you can find out more at cityofsacramento.gov. Last reminder that there is still one opening on this body. This is for the District 7 representative, and you can find out more about this at arts.cityofsacramento.gov. Folks out there can apply. You do not need to be a member of the district that you are representing, or you do not need to be a resident of the district that you might be selected to represent. And that's all I have. I'll pass it over to you.
Thank you. Any commissioners with comments and ideas, questions? Steve, did you have anything?
You want me to do this? You can do that in your commission updates.
Okay. So we'll move to commissioner updates. Go ahead, Bill.
Artistic director for our Sacramento Ballet for over 30 years, along with his wife, Corinne. And we extend our condolences to the Sacramento Ballet community and the Cunningham family on the passing of longtime Sacramento Ballet artistic director Ron Cunningham this past weekend. Ron, along with his wife and co-artistic director Corinne Bina, helped the Sacramento Ballet transform into a professional regional company. Before joining the Sacramento Ballet, Ron danced with several companies, including the Boston Ballet. Arriving in Sacramento in 1988, Ron was known for his choreography of Bolero, Carmina Burana, and The Great Gatsby. Ron was a fixture in the region, in no small part because of the ballet's Nutcracker program. Participating in the annual event has been a rite of passage for hundreds of local dancers over the years. So many local dancers that benefit from Ron's teaching and mentorship. It has created a real sense of family in our region. We're proud to honor Ron Cunningham's life and work. His contribution to our city and region has been invaluable. His passion, commitment, congeniality will be deeply missed.
Thank you. We may have to do an extension because we are coming up to 3 o'clock. And so, is it a vote?
Yeah, it's a motion to extend past 2 hours.
So we'll have a motion to extend past 2 hours. Can I get a motion? And this is because we still have.
Motion to extend.
Thank you. This is because we just have business, just the public comments that's going to pass. I've got Commissioner Eisenberg who's passed. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. Commissioner Carter? Okay, all in favor, please say, or all in favor say yay.
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 Any opposed? Okay. And any abstain? So I've got one in opposition, or one commissioner in opposition, 0 abstention. I think that means that we would have to stop. We wouldn't have a quorum anymore. Would we? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Okay, thank you. So, motion passes. We keep going. So there are just, if you have any commissioner updates that you wish to say, now's your time. Any commissioner updates? Okay.
So the D5, Beautified D5 Art Summit is still happening at Aggie Square, April 11th from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. We are encouraging all artists within the District 5 area to show up and get some support, some insight about how to work with the city, as well as how to grow your artistic background in your business. So that's April 11th, 4 to 6 p.m. At Aggie Square.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right. I believe we can move to public comments.
Thank you, Chair. We have 4 speakers for not on the agenda. Our first speaker is Lambert, and it looks like he has left. So our next speaker is Richard.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Richard Falcon. I am the founder and executive director of Teatro Nahual. Teatro Nahual is a Latino-based theater company here in town, expanding into so many different areas, and we are proud recipients of the CAA award and carrying that out, and looking forward to year 2 if that were to get funded. We'll see how that goes on the budget there as well. But I come here really to let you know we are celebrating our 20th anniversary. 20 years since 2006 when we first started and incorporated in 2009. And we were under Sacramento Metropolitan Arts Commission back in the day when they were our fiscal sponsors. So this body, the Office of SMAC, the Office of Arts and Culture, is vital to everything and to the successes that we have had over the 20 years. And some of those successes include, and I want to let you know about this now as well, is we have been selected through the California Arts Council to be the administering organization of the Individual Artist Fund, Artist Fellowship. And that application, we've been working with our colleagues throughout the state of California, but it's going to open up in May. You'll start seeing me around town, and I'm letting you all know for the artists that you have in your communities to keep an eye out for those announcements that will be coming out, because we will be re-granting $240,000 to individual artists throughout Solano, Yolo, Sacramento, El Dorado, and Alpine County. And we're really super excited to be doing that. We also, as our 20th anniversary, have many shows that are going to be coming up, many stage readings that are going to be coming up. We invite you to follow us on Teatro Nahual on Facebook, Teatro Nahual on Instagram. Our website is teatronahual.com. All of that is growing and changing so much. I don't know how we're going to do it, but we're going to do it. And the last thing I'm going to say to you is you will start seeing me around too, because I will be starting an artists union with the idea of organizing our artists. So thank you very much for the time.
Thank you for your comments. Our next speaker is Shira.
Hi, my name is Shira Lane. I'm with Atrium 916. We're a Creative Innovation Center for Sustainability, and I want to say thank you all to the Commission. I also want to say thank you to D5. We are located in D4. I live in D6, and I'm working with D5 on that summit, so I'm looking forward to it. I'm here to say that on Friday at Aggie Square, we're going to be hosting a red carpet premiere of a TV series that we produced called Citizens of Planet Earth. It is a 6-episode TV series that we produced. It has been years in the making. We hired over 104 local Sacramento creatives. This was filmed all over Sacramento. I'm very excited. It's all about waste reduction, and I'm very excited to tell more about this project at the premiere. The premiere is free. There will be drinks, there will be food, and it is pretty packed, so if you are, please do reserve a seat. I recommend you reserve a seat. And I'm excited to have anybody, all of you come, and if you have any questions. Again, this was an economic development program. It started back in COVID. It was an idea from Eric Guerra and then Mayor Darrell Steinberg to pay artists during COVID. And we converted this project into something that was more elevated, that could be exported. And this project now will be going, is planned to go into schools all over the state of California to educate on waste reduction. So please come and thank you. Oh, wait, I got 27 seconds. It is Friday, this Friday, 6 p.m. at Aggie Square. You can find it if you just Google Citizens of Planet Earth. And it's a 6-episode TV series on electronic waste, food waste, fashion, cosmetics, tires, and paint, hazardous materials. A lot of us artists who work with paint don't really understand that working with hazardous materials and how to deal with it. So, thank you.
Thank you for your comments, and our last speaker will be Justina.
Okay, I know it's past 3, so I'll try to be fast. Just want to uplift some things coming up. A couple of things from my business partner, Julie Crum. She curated a show at East Street Gallery called Beneath the Current. That's opening this Saturday, second Saturday, 6 to 8 p.m., and it's featuring a lot of artists that have never exhibited before. And then also Bernie, or Julie Crum, is involved in the Weave fundraiser exhibit called Resilience. I think that's curated by some culture alums, and that's at 2401 Arden Way this Saturday at 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. And then this Saturday at Prism Art Space, we're having an opening for an exhibit curated by Heather Hogan that features Gregory Schillen and Sandra Capoletti and Heather this Saturday, 5 to 8 p.m. And then next week, I personally am hosting a free collage making meetup at Prism, Friday, March 20th, 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. I just asking for donations that will benefit NorCal Resist, and all supplies will be provided. Thank you.
Say something? Chair, is it okay if I say something?
Sure.
Okay, I just want to give a special thanks to the entire District 5 team, Katie Maple's team, writer, about the Art Summit event. They have been helping me through, and I just want to make everybody aware of the event. So if you're an artist or know any artists in the District 5 area that would like to get more information, feel free to come by. But thank you to the District 5 team.
Thank you. This concludes today's agenda. Thank you, everyone, for your participation, and for the meeting is adjourned.